What's up, guys? I'm your host, EJ Stewart, and thank you all for checking out this very special edition of New Generation Hero Talk. I'm joined by Kendall here, not only on the podcast, but also on the YouTube channel, New Generation Media, and we had to do a special episode. We usually record earlier in the week anyway, but we had to do a very special episode. I told Kendall the rumor was that the Spider-Man trailer could come out today. If it happened, I felt like we need to get on the pod and get on the YouTube and put out a video. Here we are, Monday night. Podcast special. Spider-Man No Way Home trailer is dropped. Kendall, what are your initial thoughts on what we got to see, man? It was we got to see a lot. They didn't give us everything. Right now they're putting it out as a teaser, but this was big time nonetheless. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about it.
Well, so first of all, I want to thank Sony for dropping the trailer when they did because he said it was a Monday night and I'm watching a god-awful preseason game between the Jaguars and the Saints. And they dropped it at a time in which I was able to turn off that game, watch the Spider-Man trailer 30 million times, and now I'm doing this video here with EJ. So got me off of watching, Jameis Winston and Trevor Lawrence to watching Tom Holland. So that was fun. But, yeah, I mean, this was long awaited, for months. A lot of speculation, a lot of rumors, a lot of leaks in the recent days, and finally, we got our first look at this movie. So I'm excited to chop it up.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about it. So, I mean, the initial thought I have is, wow, I did not really expect this story. It's so funny because we all are all wrapped up into this multiverse situation. Hiding us all the multiverse. When are we going to see Garfield? When are we going to see Maguire? What other villains from the past we're going to see? We know Melina and Jamie Foxx are certainly going to be in it, and there's some very big clues as to who else may be showing up here. But how are we going to get to all that stuff? And I think in some ways it took me out of the actual conundrum that was presented in the last movie, which was Peter Parker's identity being revealed to the entire world into New York City. And I didn't realize, and I'm surprised more people didn't think about the possibility that Spider-Man One More Day, the comic book, will end up being such a large inspiration for this film. But that's essentially what this is. I mean, this is pretty much Spider-Man One More Day. They mixed up a couple of things. It's not Mephisto right now. Now it's Doctor Strange. It's not necessarily, Mephisto doing something, a deal with the devil that works, so to speak. This is something that goes terribly wrong and creates this kind of multiverse of madness, maybe preview, for lack of a better term. So a lot of the questions I had about this film kind of make sense very fast. Like, I'm like, why aren't they filming anything in New York? How are they filming so much of this in Atlanta? Well, when you see, Spider-Man flying through, prisms of New York City, you say, oh, yeah, you don't really need New York City to accomplish anything like that, So I think the initial thing was I did enjoy that we will see true ramifications of, a Mysterio revealing his identity. I thought we might not really deal with it in this movie because of all the talk about the multiverse. Clearly, we're going to have a big part of that come into this movie, but it seems to me that may be your first half hour of the movie. It seems like that next arc is when he finally sees Steven in the Sanctum. And after Wong says, "Hey, don't mess with that spell. It's gonna mess everything up." And
yeah, Wong's going on vacation.
Wong's going on vacation. First of all, very weird get up there by Doctor Strange.
Because the Sanctum was like cape over snow.
Yeah, we don't even know why that is.
Yeah, so they're all in winter gear, and then all of a sudden, Wong's going on vacation. I'm assuming in story he's probably like, I'm not staying in this place if it's gonna be 2 degrees, so I'm going to Cabo or something. I'm almost certain that's what.
Yeah. It has to be, right? Because it's cold in there. I mean, Doctor Strange doesn't seem to mind it, but but Wong's like
lighting up the fireplace. He's chilling.
Yeah, and he's got the cape over the North Face jacket, which is just hilarious. Yeah. This is I don't know who wrote that. I thought that would be funny, but it is very funny. But after not heeding Wong's last words, Doctor Strange tries to make the spell up, and then as he's telling about the spell, Peter realizes, wait a minute. Oh, nobody's gonna know I'm Spider-Man. That means people who I care about, who actually it would probably behoove them to know I'm Spider-Man, won't know, and that might be really bad. And as he's speaking, it's messing with Doctor Strange's spell, and he's like, "Yo, stop talking because I need to do the spell right." And we see kind of the thing kind of collapse. And interesting enough, it doesn't look exactly the same, but it did kind of resemble a little bit of what it looked like where you know, he who remains lives, in terms of like the purple kind of atmosphere thing kind of looks like. It wasn't the exact same, because I made sure to like go back and see, wait, was that the exact same place? It wasn't exactly the same, but I definitely saw inspiration for the look of that place. And then we come back, and you know, basically it's chaos, and we get some definitely get some hints at Electro, some hints at a Green Goblin, and then we actually see Alfred Molina's Doctor Octopus. He says, "No, hello, Peter," and Spider-Man, which his costume game is just fire in this movie already. I mean, just going from the Iron Spider-Man to the regular Spider-Man suit, the black suit he has. I wasn't sure how much I would love it, seeing the little Funko Pops that were coming out and stuff, but I actually liked the little bit I saw from it in this trailer.
And I'm glad it doesn't seem like that's his primary suit. It looks
No,
like
no, no.
he's
Yeah,
gonna be switching between suits in this movie.
yeah. So I mean, a lot to unpack here, Kendall. I mean, what did you make of what we saw? I mean, that was pretty much the large end of it. There are little Easter eggs here. I really enjoyed him going into school with, you know, the police and all the people yelling at him, and they had the little Peter Parker as a devil picture, which is a clear, like, you know, like nod to Mephisto, who, again, that One More Day story is the one who creates the environment that allows for them to change Peter's identity. But what did you make of this trailer? Now that we finally got to see something from this movie, it's crazy that we're only about 4 months away. We've seen zero. This is the first thing we've seen.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is extremely exciting, obviously, for people that have been waiting for this movie. People have been clamoring, and look, obviously, I agree that the lead story is going to be the inclusion of the multiverse, the inclusion of these other villains from these other movies. But this trailer does start you off with, how do we get to that point? Because this movie isn't going to be just all. It's still supposed to be in the MCU. It's still supposed to be continuation from the last two Spider-Man movies. So how do we get from point A to point B? And it feels like I'm not sure how much of this movie will be, post Far From Home, pre-multiverse. I imagine, like those interrogation scenes and stuff like that. I think that's when we'll get our Matt Murdock,
I've seen plenty of people like that. When that guy, whoever that guy is, slams that notebook in front of him, and he has the white rolled up, dressed down.
Yeah, some people are going as far as say that it is Murdock.
Yeah, a lot of people think that might be him.
It's possible. It's hard to tell. There's a silhouette kind of look at him, and you can't really tell. So we'll see. And Marvel knows how to cut it in a way in which, if it is him, it doesn't look like him. But I think definitely, as you talked about, this trailer teases and hints at characters where I think they'll be in these scenes a lot more prominently than we saw in this trailer. Like when you see Electro's lightning going all over the place, you can't see Jamie Foxx, but I think you'll be able to see Jamie Foxx when the movie starts, or when we see the movie, he'll be very prominently featured. He'll probably be prominently featured in the next trailer. When you see Green Goblin's pumpkin, you're going to see Willem Dafoe very prominently. They're just shooting it or cutting it in a way in which they don't show that character. But yeah, no, I mean, to me, the interesting thing is, I think we've all wanted to know what is going to be the composition of the Sinister Six. What is going to be the makeup of the Sinister Six? Because there's so many different characters, so many different villains. We've had a million Spider-Man movies, so there's a million different villains to pick from, and it seems as if we got a hint of a look at possibly Lizard in this trailer. And if Lizard's not somebody that we knew for a fact would be in it, but he makes sense being he was the villain of Amazing Spider-Man 1. you mentioned Electro. You mentioned obviously we saw Doc Ock, Green Goblin. It looks like maybe Sandman might have been
Yeah,
with Electro.
yeah.
Um, and again, not somebody that we had known for a fact would be in this movie. Will we actually see Sandman, or will it just be CGI? I would imagine you're going to bring the actor back, but these are he is the character that uniquely could just be CGI if they wanted to do. you know, so that's a possibility. And then, but that's only five, and so there is still a mystery sixth person because we know it's Spider Man. You don't do the Sinister Five. You don't bring in five villains. That's just not what they're gonna do. So who's the sixth person going to be? Um, you know, if they're not gonna show us, because I think they were very clear to show us five of these people,
Yeah.
and not show us a sixth one. I think that seems intentional. So who that sixth person is it Mysterio? Is it
Mm.
is it a vulture or a scorpion? Is it, Rhino people have talked about with Paul Giamatti? I mean, I don't think it would be James Franco, but I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of possibilities, but yeah, you know, overall, I do think it was an interesting way to tie in, you know, the Spider-Man character and still make it in the MCU with Doctor Strange and all of that. Um, it's just going to be fascinating to see how does this, lead into not only, obviously verse of this movie, but also the multiverse of madness next year.
And one of the things that's interesting to me, Kendall, is you know you talk about Doctor Strange's inclusion in this film, and I think for there is it's definitely a segment of Spider-Man fans that have not been as pleased with Spider-Man's inclusion with the MCU in terms of how they've used it, with the idea of Spider-Man needing some other person to kind of show him the ropes, and
Iron
when
Boy Jr.
uh, Walter Iron Man Pistol Pete Jr. you know, but no, like so many fans have said, why does he need someone from the Marvel MCU to always have to kind of guide him through? Do you think those people will be? How do you feel like they kind of set up uh, Doctor Strange with this film? I feel like his inclusion will make. To me, this still feels like Spider Man is kind of driving the ship here. It just seems like Steven kind of gets pulled along for the ride in a ride that he didn't really expect to be on.
Right.
But this feels a little different than Tony and Happy's roles in the first two movies. Did you
Yeah.
agree with that?
And Fury as well, who
Yeah,
ended up not
yeah,
being
and
Fury.
Fury, exactly, yeah.
Um, it's hard to say yet.
Okay.
I think that if you were concerned about that, or you were not a fan of the first two movies from that aspect, I don't know if I saw enough in this trailer to alleviate those concerns. Doctor Strange is going to be in the movie. I don't think he's going to be in this. I mean, it makes sense. I don't think he's in the third act. I think once this multiverse thing is sort of figured out, that'll be it. But there's also the aspect of where does he go? That can be explained in the movie. Like, why wouldn't he be around to fight Green Goblin?
Right.
And we assume that it's going to be all three Spider-Men, and that's something we'll get to. Um, but if he's not in the third act, I don't think it's gonna be all three Spider-Man in Doctor Strange. So
Yeah.
what happens to Doctor Strange midway through the movie where he's taken out of commission?
Well, I think that's where we've heard Kevin Feige say often that this movie is directly tied with Doctor Strange into the multiverse of madness. I feel like what's gonna happen is he's gonna go directly into his own movie. I think whatever issues he's caused with Peter, he can't handle Peter and his problems with the Sinister Six. He's like, oh,
Yeah,
the multiverse is collapsing. I gotta leave you and go back to doing this other stuff. That's what I anticipate. I anticipate that that's going to be essentially is the prelude to his. I mean, this certainly is going to be a big movie, but this is going to be in many ways I think a prelude to him just dealing with his own issues that he's now caused and created by making this spell for
so
Peter.
and it's so funny, man. It's like we have this conversation every time It's like anytime there's a new piece of media with Marvel, like what is the deal with this multiverse? Like, is the multiverse now as it calls because of this, or was it because of Kang, or was it because
Right.
of
Good question.
WandaVision? Like, I don't even know, man.
I know.
I'm losing track of times in which the multiverse has broken into a million different pieces.
That's a
Was
good
it was,
question. Yeah.
was it Loki episode 2? Was it Loki episode 6?
Yeah. Yeah, at some point we're gonna have to learn the timeline of events for when certain things happen.
And
Because
what were the effects of each individual thing? Because
right.
it seemed
And
as if the effects of what happened at the end of Loki suggested that was, certainly that created a bunch of different timelines and branches, and that seemed to strongly hint or allude to multiverse of madness. But then it seems like this is what breaks in its own multiverse in the Spider-Man universe. I'm assuming they're all in the same universe. So I'm assuming
yeah.
it creates a multiverse, beyond the Spider-Man movies. So
And
where does
part of
the
me
Loki thing compare to this?
yeah, I'll be honest, part of me wonders if I wonder if even this has anything to do with the multiverse being collapsed. Like I wonder if um like we everybody spoiler alert if you've never seen Loki, but everyone talks about that moment towards the end where Kang looks at the looks and says this is the moment where I don't know what's going to
Yeah,
happen next. And part
the
of me
threshold.
wonder, yeah,
You passed the
the
threshold.
threshold, yeah, exactly. And we don't know what that was. I mean, was this Spider-Man moment the threshold where now
Yeah,
he doesn't know what's going to happen?
but then
um
like some
or
people
does
have matched up.
or does him being replaced at the end of Loki, does that then does this happen? Does this whole multiverse collapsing thing? Maybe it's a coincidence. I mean, maybe it just happened
Yeah,
as he who remains is also killed. I mean, we don't know. We don't know. We don't have the answer to that. But you're right. It
yeah.
does create an interesting question because both of these moments seem equally catastrophic, and each of them claim to be the cause of the calamities that are to come. But until we actually see what the fallout is, we won't know exactly what is what.
What do you think will be the marketing strategy
Hmm.
regarding the rest of this rollout? Because
I
we've
mean,
got
yeah.
another trailer, surely, probably, and beyond that, a bunch of TV spots or whatnot. But
Hmm.
we've got one more trailer. The big question obviously will be if and when they will show the other two Spider-Men, as well as the rest of the villains. What do you think the plan is for that?
That's the elephant in the room. Is this trailer does not include Garfield and Maguire.
Which makes sense, and I don't think people should panic. I don't think if you're
Hmm. Yeah,
you're expecting to see them, I don't think that. I think this is more confirmation or more lends more credence to the idea that they'll be in this movie.
I agree with that. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I think if you're in the camp where you want to see them, I don't think this trailer should make you feel bad. I think you should feel great. I think you should feel really confident that you're gonna see them, considering we're seeing villain. I mean, see Lizard and Electro potentially show. I mean, come on, I
Yeah,
think there's a very good chance you're gonna see Andrew Garfield. So you gotta feel great. I think if you're from that standpoint, um, I think it was the right call to not put them in it. I'm torn on whether or not we'll see them. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that they have
right
a real
before
before the
the
movie
yeah.
because I was thinking about it before we came on. I mean, they got something really unique with how they've promoted this movie thus far, which has been nothing.
I
Really.
would say lack of
Yeah,
promotion.
yeah, which is to do nothing actually. But what I was saying is that like there's so much speculation about who's in it and who's not. It actually allows you a great freedom if everything we believe to be true is true, to then just withhold whatever you want and save whatever you want. Like in some ways, this could end up being like a true comic book in the sense that like I mean we have comic book stories that are big, but we don't know exactly what's gonna happen in them. You can write whoever you want in it. And I think this is one of those rare, because of the way movies are made, we hear about, oh, this person signed a deal to be in this movie, and that person is linked to this movie. Like, this is impossible to keep certain secrets. But I mean, they kept Lizard and Sandman. We didn't hear anything about those guys at all. You know what I'm
No.
saying? And here we are. There are clear signs that both of them very well could appear in this film. I mean, I don't think I would show them, in my opinion. If I was Sony, I don't think I would show them. I think that
So
you have a unique opportunity to really have people go to the theater and just be like, holy blank, like we thought they were going to be in it, but we didn't know for sure because we didn't see anything of them in it. And then just let the movie be what it is. That's how. Now, will Sony do that? I don't think so. I think that we will see them in one of these trailers. But if I was doing it, I wouldn't show them. I think this movie has so much hype right now. You don't even need to show them.
So
That's how I feel.
that's the thing, is that the argument for showing them is purely financial. It's purely like, you're gonna get more people to see the movie if you show them. The question is, again, how much more people are you gonna get to see the movie? Because at this point, you've already made the indications fairly clear. I still think there are going to be quite a lot of people that don't know, that they're in it. That saw the trailer, that don't know what's going on, because they didn't make it, they didn't hit you over the face with it. But I don't think that's what they dropped to. It was a teaser trailer. I feel like the next trailer, I think they're going to hit people over the head with it. I think by the end of the trailer, I think the last shot will be
all three of them.
Maybe all three of them, or just two of them, just Garfield and Maguire. But I think that'll be that's my guess, is that'll be the close. And I think, I just feel like, when in terms of hyping this movie up, if this is what they've made, then you have to make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
So you don't hold yourself back on anything. I understand that creatively, it probably, again, they've have a very unique scenario in that they could hold on to it, and it hasn't leaked out yet that they're in it. And seeing them in the movie would be great, but with there being such a large assumption that they're in it anyway, I feel like, you're probably gonna get, I don't think people are gonna be in the theaters. If they don't confirm it, people will still bug out if they're in it, but it won't be insane, because there's so much. It would be worse if they don't show them. Like there's the assumption that they're in it at this point. So it'll be just confirmation at that point. But yeah, no. I mean, I agree. I think we're gonna see them in the next trailer. The question then it becomes also like, how big of a movie is this actually going to be? Because if what we're talking about, I mean, we're now just openly talking about, so when's Maguire going to show up? When's Garfield going to show up? Like this, we have at least 5 former Spider-Man movie villains in this movie, probably more. Like, what's going to be, do you think that we're going to see Garfield in his universe? Are we going to see Maguire in his universe? Are we going to see, will we see a Dunst or or an Emma Stone pop up? Like, these are not questions that have to be asked, that I didn't think I would necessarily be asking.
Well, now we have to have open dialogue about what we've heard on the internet, because now the movie's out. We've seen clear hints of both of these universes, appearing in this film. I mean, there are rumors that Dunst and and Stone have signed on to be in this movie. Again, they're only rumors. We don't know what's true, what's not. Nothing's been confirmed. No major trade has said any of this. But there are rumors that both of those women are supposed to be in this film. The way it looks to me, I don't know if we'll see a proper they're in their own universe deal kind of thing. Like, I don't know if that's going to be a situation. It seems like,
you think all these characters are just going to pop up.
It seems like it's just chaos. That's the way it looks like to me. It seems like just people are just converging, and perhaps all these people are in Peter's universe. Like that, that's kind of how I kind of was seeing it. Was maybe they're all in his universe, but because they know of a Spider-Man, some of them know it's Peter Parker. Like, if all what's the name got to see, all Molina has to see is a guy in a Spider-Man suit, or someone who's saying he's Peter Parker. He's gonna say, all right, that's the guy I gotta, that's the guy I have smoked with. That's the ops. It don't matter if he looks a little different or whatever. He's not gonna be. The story's
gonna have to explain, where does, and this is stuff that we can now openly talk about that we couldn't necessarily talk about, because at the time it was like Alfred Molina was like spoiling stuff. So we're not even gonna touch Alfred Molina's obvious comments or whatever. But like, the stories, he said, in an interview, I believe it was with Hollywood Reporter or Deadline, whoever it was with, that like, yeah, I mean, this movie's, it's going to explain what happens to me when I get out of the water.
Yeah.
in the last movie. Because that's the thing, that you're gonna have to explain, how does Doc Ock survive? How
Yeah,
does
there are plenty
Green
of dead
Goblin?
dead characters. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Green Goblin had. I mean, that was one of the all-time, superhero movie villain deaths. It
Yeah.
was Green Goblin. It was one of the first major ones, and they're gonna have to, explain all of this stuff. And I don't know how they're gonna do that. I mean, is it going to be something? Why is it so specific to his villains? I mean, it won't be specific to his villains if the heroes show up also, but why is it so specific to Spider-Man? Why? I don't know.
I
Why
mean,
again?
but
Why are
or
one?
will it be? I mean, again, we have a whole multiverse of madness to explore. I mean, maybe it won't be just contained to Spider-Man. It could be
Right.
involving plenty of other people as well that we thought were dead and will come back. And obviously we have the X-Men and the Fantastic Four kind of looming as well. Who's to say that what's going on here doesn't affect what happens with those characters and maybe people that pop up from the past. So um, the one other thing I think I wanted to know too was a claim that I've said a bunch of times that I think may be officially debunked now. A hot take I had, which was that the end of Homecoming was the start of the multiverse.
Far from home. Yeah.
Far From Home, sorry, was the start of the multiverse. Was J. Jonah Jameson coming out of nowhere from the Daily Bugle YouTube
Yeah. It seems like
channel.
he's just the same guy.
He's just a guy in Spider Man and
Yeah.
Peter
He just
Parker's
happens to be the
universe.
same actor. Yeah.
Yeah, who just happens to be the same universe. So that's kind of an interesting decision that they made, was to actually have them be a J. Jonah Jameson, but this is just his iteration of it, and then how that's been moved forward.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder if we'll see multiple versions of J. Jonah
Right.
Jameson. I wonder. I mean, there's speculation. I mean, we know. Well, I mean, we don't know, but speculation that J. Jonah Jameson may be in, Morbius, or he may be in Venom. We know. Well, we
Right.
do know that Michael Keaton will be in Morbius, whenever that movie, if that movie ever comes out. And the rest of these movies, or the rest of these Sony movies, will have, seems like crossover characters, and J. Jonah Jameson is one that may cross over into those movies as well. Um, so what will be the how will those movies cross over? Because again, if J. Jonah Jameson's in Venom, does that mean Tom Hardy's in this universe?
Right.
There was the big hullabaloo about the Daily Bugle logo uh, in set photos and
Morbius.
things of that nature,
Yeah.
and how it
And
looks like the original Spider-Man Daily Bugle. And this trailer, there's a truck that it's the new Daily Bugle. It's the whatever you want to call it, Daily Bugle. So, like, because of that, I wonder. It's again, these details are very specific. You know, they could have they could have just made it the old Daily Bugle and been lazy about it, but they didn't. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions about what's going on with that.
I think another question we can now really discuss is, we've talked about, again, this promotional strategy or lack thereof, and the decision to hold the trailer this long. Now that we've actually seen whatever they wanted their first trailer to look like, do you think it was the right decision to hold it this long?
Um. So I was gonna say, I mean, look, I mean, it came out. We're all still here. It didn't end the world that they waited this long.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it did leak. So,
Right.
I mean, what you could argue that would have happened anyway. If they would have did it a month ago, a visual effects person would have got the trailer and
Yeah.
leaked it anyway, just like what happened
I,
in
I
this movie.
assure you that someone from Sony or Feige himself will say that whenever they get a chance to talk about this.
Yeah,
That will be their defense, because
yeah,
that, and it may be a fair one.
yeah,
I'm telling you, that's what they're gonna say.
right. But like you said, there's gonna be naysayers that say, had you released this 2 months ago, maybe you wouldn't have gotten leaks. Maybe people working on the movie there would have been less fanfare around a trailer, and you would have been people would have been less inclined to leak a trailer like that. But from a marketing standpoint, outside of leaks, I mean, I think that again, we're all still here. The trailer was still super exciting, and I think they survived. Um, the next one this isn't the internet breaking trailer though. That's what I'll say, because we talked a lot about, man, when that Spider-Man trailer drops, like the internet is gonna explode, and this was exciting, and I think the leak did affect that, but still, this isn't the internet breaking trailer. This is a lot closer to what we got in the last two movies. This is still big
Yeah.
when you had the inclusion of these other characters that we kind of knew were going to be in it, but um, what will break the internet is when they show Garfield and Maguire.
And that's why I will say that it was a bad decision to hold it this long.
Right.
Because I agree. I think that if you were looking, I think this trailer was great. I really loved it. I think this movie's gonna be nuts. But if you're talking about that break the internet trailer that you can't hold, you gotta hold as long as you can, because once you do, too much is out of the bag. That didn't happen here. Let's even 100.
Yeah.
That's not what happened. I mean, we knew Melina was gonna be in it. Um, the only, I think, major surprise would be the tease to maybe Defoe, and then the
Yeah, and the rest of
inclusion
the villains, yeah.
in the inclusion of Sandman and Lizard will probably be
Yeah.
the ones you say, oh wow, okay. We knew villains were gonna be in it. We didn't know who. We were hearing some rumors about Defoe, but like nothing concrete, and we hear nothing about those other two. So you say, okay, that's pretty big. And then just kind of just seeing the story, because that's all we're talking about. It's like, how did we get into this multiverse situation? So that really, the story was, honestly, I think maybe the biggest reveal was just what the heck's gonna happen? How did they get
Yeah.
to this point? So all that was good, but I don't think it was enough to say we can't. We gotta hold this as long as we can, because if we give them too much early on, it will just spoil the
We talked
surprise. I don't think that needed to happen. I think they definitely could have. They definitely could have dropped this much sooner. So
we
that's
talked we
that's how I feel about it.
we talked about this guy earlier, but do you think that they show Matt Murdock in any of the trailers, or is he? I mean,
No, I
assuming
don't think they will. I don't. I think that he will be withheld. But that's my opinion.
yeah.
I can see
I
someone think they're gonna show him. I think they're not gonna. Because I think
I
that
don't.
there's a chance. Because to me, I think, like I said before, if I was a betting man, I'm gonna say they will show both Maguire and Garfield. So you gotta withhold something. And I think they're gonna withhold that.
And also, again, from a Sony standpoint, from a business standpoint, I don't think Murdoch is moving the needle in the box office at all. For a Spider-Man movie, it's
I agree.
cool, but
Yeah.
it's not gonna make people. I mean, maybe it makes people see the movie twice, but that's not a trailer. That's gonna be if you see the movie. But
Right.
like, but yeah, he's not moving the needle in the opening weekend box office.
I
That
mean,
just
unless
doesn't.
you show him in a Daredevil suit punching,
Yeah, that would
Norman Osborn, that may be different.
it's
Right.
fair. It's fair.
but we're all assuming we're talking about Matt Murdock as a lawyer, some guy with red glasses who's blind. No, a lot of people won't even know who that is. And again, sorry, superhero fans, and everybody knows I love Daredevil, love Matt Murdock, but that's just the facts
This
of it.
trailer is gonna get a lot of eyeballs.
Yeah,
you know. And so you're gonna have a large percentage being maybe 20% that again won't know that, still don't know that multiple Spider-Man will likely be in this movie.
yeah,
And again won't know that Matt Murdock's in the movie, or who even that is. And that's now I do think if and when they show the multiple Spider-Man, 95% of people that see that trailer will know exactly what that means. And
yes,
that is
100%.
why you show them, because if you're gonna get that, the person who's not the diehard Marvel fan to see this movie, especially given the climate we're in, you got to give them that reason, and that'll be the reason to get people to see this movie.
I totally agree with that. But nonetheless, I do feel like Murdoch's inclusion
And
is
we
gonna
have
is
and we
gonna
have the
is gonna
rumors of
go
Kingpin.
go crazy. And what was that?
And we have rumors of Kingpin and Hawkeye, and
I
if
know.
that's legit, you know, and then the question becomes: are they just in the MCU, or are they part of this multiverse situation? I'm assuming we're going to see Murdoch prior to the Doctor Strange thing. So I would just suggest that they're in the MCU.
I think so too.
Maybe it's not the same Netflix characters, but those actors are in the MCU.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that this is more likely that they will see them before somehow, which will be something else. But I mean, man, I gotta say, just opinion on the trailer again. I really really liked it.
This movie's going to be incredible.
Yeah,
I can
I mean,
already say that.
yeah,
I have a
this
hard time believing this will not be the most exciting movie I've seen since, I don't know, Civil War. You
I was
know,
gonna say I'm glad you brought up Civil War because that was the last thing I wanted to say. Was to me, this trailer felt like Avengers Civil War trailer. I mean, excuse me, Captain America Civil War trailer one.
yeah, Avengers 2.5.
This felt like Captain America Civil War trailer one, which was bonkers. People forget how crazy just the first trailer for that movie was. Um,
Yeah,
I feel like the number two, which again nobody forgets what number two was. I think that's what you're gonna see with the next trailer. I think this was Civil War trailer one, which was just giving you the tea leaves, setting up the story, showing a little
yeah,
bit. Like Melina is essentially Black Panther in that trailer, and like, oh snap, this is it, we're here. And then,
yeah,
but it's like, nah, you haven't seen nothing yet, fam. And then that's when the next trailer, as they ended on Civil War by showing Tom Holland Spider Man first introduction to the MCU,
yeah,
I think you'll see them employ the
yeah.
same strategy with Holland,
And
excuse me,
and
with
look,
with McGuire and Garfield showing up in trailer two, and
and
that's
there will
gonna
be
be the trailer that breaks the
there
internet,
will
quote
be
unquote.
tears, man. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
there will be tears in a lot of people's eyes just reacting to the trailer when they see McGuire and Garfield. I mean, it's gonna be like CM Punk debuting in AEW. I mean, a guy you hadn't seen in over a decade coming
yeah.
back, a guy you
Oh,
never thought you'd see again on the big screen, and two of them.
I
I
know.
mean, that's gonna be incredible, man. And I mean, I'm not even the biggest fan of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I mean, I love the Maguire movies, but I'm super excited to see both of them.
Same. Yeah,
This is
no.
gonna be
I
incredible.
I same way, man. I'm not, and I know that neither you or I are biggest fans of Garfield, but I say that to say though those both Garfield and McGuire have millions of fans in regards to Spider-Man. There
100.
are a lot of people who think Garfield is the best Spider-Man ever,
Yeah,
and despite maybe those movies not being the greatest, feeling like he was exceptional. So yeah, if Garfield puts on that costume again, it's gonna be bonkers. And then we don't gotta talk about McGuire. We know what McGuire means to
yeah,
the Spider-Man franchise, the Spider-Man character, the culture as a whole. I mean, if he puts on the costume again, then I mean, I don't even know what I don't have words for what that's gonna be
yeah.
like. Which, again, for me, if there's any, I'm all in at this point. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody who's out who still says I still haven't seen enough to think that those guys are in it. That's not me. It ain't me. Shout out to Drewski. It ain't me. I am
Yeah.
all in. I think 100% we're going to see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and it's going to be nuts. I think the I think the
And
only conundrum is going to be you
screen
know
time,
screen time.
you know.
Yeah, like how do they balance just so many of these titans? If we're talking about Willem Dafoe being in it and Jamie Foxx
Yeah.
being in it, like how could you
And I
possibly
mean,
give all
I
those guys
think
time? They might
the
they might not be able to, but that
the
doesn't mean it
early
can't still be
word
a great movie.
the early word again, we don't know what's legit and what's not, but the early word is that Defoe will likely be the
The main
the
villain.
main guy, which makes sense.
That
I
he
mean,
should be.
yeah,
If
he's
Defoe
the
is in
best.
the movie, we don't want. I mean, I'm happy everybody else is in it, but I don't
Yeah,
need to see more of Electro. You know what I'm
no,
saying? Like he needs to be top billing at that point.
yeah, and I mean, I'm super excited to see. Again, and what's also exciting is seeing Venom. I mean, not Venom, seeing Lizard and Electro in this universe because I mean, we can talk about openly about how the fact that Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a disaster.
Mm.
And this is now a chance for them to improve on that character, to improve on the Sandman character that I thought was solid, but it was in a was in a mess of a movie. So
Yeah.
now you can put that Sandman, hopefully have him in a good movie, have Electro and Lizard in very good movies potentially, and that's exciting. On top of the fact that you're bringing back Molina, bringing back Defoe, two guys who are in classic movies, classic villain portrayals, and I mean, again, never thought I thought I'd have to just rewatch those movies if I ever want to see those guys again. Now I'm going to be getting new Willem Dafoe, Norman Osborn. Can't believe it.
What a time to be alive, Kendall. That's all I can say, man. What a
I mean,
time to
the
be.
pumpkin bomb. I
Yeah.
mean, I went back to 10 years old, 5-year old Kendall,
Yeah.
seeing the pumpkin bomb
And I'll be honest, that was
going on the
I thought
floor.
that was a perfect way to tease him. To be honest, like
The
I don't
laugh.
Like yeah, the laugh and you see that pumpkin, you know what time it is. You know
Yeah.
what's up. Anybody who's ever watched Spider-Man movies knows what's up.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow,
And that's how
that's
iconic that villain and that character is. One movie
exactly
and synonymous. Immediately synonymous.
yeah. So it's a great time to be a Spider-Man fan. Me and Kendall rocked out in Spider-Man gear today. It was the right day to wear this stuff. Right day, perfect
Every day
day.
is the right day to wear this stuff, EJ.
That is fair. That is fair. No, that's two Spider-Man fans. I can agree with that. Um, but man, thank you guys so much for checking out this special edition of New Generation Hero Talk, both on our podcast channels and on YouTube. Of course, you want to catch more of our YouTube videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel New Generation Media. If you want to check out this podcast, we do New Generation Hero Talk every week on New Generation Podcast Network. You can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and TuneIn. So thank you guys so much for checking this out. We'll see you guys soon. For Kendall, I'm EJ. Take it easy, guys. Peace.